Hey, you know what's interesting, Caleb, is we did this whole interview, and you know me really well, but you couldn't see me during this interview. And that in itself was a limit to our creative process in creating this podcast. And I read a book once that talked about, I think it was called Art and Fear, and they talked about how artists will use limits to create a specific type of art. Hey, welcome to Game Layer.
Was not beholden to the types of employment that I wanted to believe in what I was doing and to have like a nourishment is a word people use. At that point, I felt like I was occupying a productive place because it was assisting other people. They were also assisting me. My studio could make it to the next month, and the next year. And then I got to just work with all these musicians that I was learning from at the same time. It would be nice if everyone got to do work that made them feel like they were connected into the world in a meaningful way. I mean, if that was the case, you wouldn't have a lot of the problems that you have with people. So a lot of people become, you mentioned being disenfranchised. That's the worst for a human, is if they're disenfranchised. So anyway, nourishing work might be work that gives you something beyond money, which you need, but people who are in the position of having to do work that isn't supplying something other than money, that can be very harmful for them as people.
Hey, welcome to Game Layer, where we explore the science of play and the quest of learning. I am your host, David Kolmer. Theme music by Caleb Willitz. Welcome down to Game Layer.
I play piano.
I play chess.
I play everything.
I play games of my own invention.
I'd like to move to the domain of play.
Hello, my name is David Kolmer, and it's my pleasure to present Game Layer Alive, a grand finale for Season 1 of Game Layer, which uses a card game with a series of path cards for the grand finale of Season 1 of Game Layer. I was at Sententia's GameCon this year in NOLA, New Orleans, Louisiana, and I recorded short, high-signal interviews recorded on-site. They were anywhere between 2 and 5 minute long. They covered design thinking, applied gamification, as well as L&D storytelling. I had a whole binder here of content. Essentially what it was cards that walked people first through the archetype. Are they a mystic? All the way to a scientist. And then what topics did they want to cover? Future of games, outcome and ethics, or building and design. And each of those two answers unlocked a different series of questions on something that looked a little bit like that. Through high signal interviews recorded on site at Sententia's GameCon conference that captured design thinking, applied gamification, and L&D storytelling. We're going to release this as a compact series. We're going to have daily micro episodes, and then we close out with 2 long form episodes that are each 30 minutes. So I was asked last minute to do this recording, and I wasn't prepared. So I went out and purchased this little microphone off Amazon. I'm really liking it. And it's funny because now my condenser mic isn't working. So I've never had this much technical difficulty trying to record something. I've been using these for the show now too. And they're nice little travel mics. They record in mono. So there's not 2 channels, which is going to be interesting for editing. But the plan is to release these throughout December. There should be maybe a micro episode every other day, sometimes every day of December. So I'm super excited. And at the end, we have 2 long form, 30 minutes plus long. One of them is with Destry Hildebrandt live at the original location of Café du Monde. And in the background, we have a live jazz band, a 3-piece jazz set on the street, all in response between a homeless person and the jazz band for some brass antiphony, sort of that call and response that's popular in jazz music. So it just kind of all comes together quite nicely. And then the second long form featuring The Duck and Carrie Ann Lane. I hope you're as excited as I am about all of this. I think it's going to be a great way to close out Season 1 of Game Layer, playing the game with all of us, Game Layer Alive.
I play piano.
It's my pleasure to invite Caleb Willitz to the show. Caleb's going to start by just walking us around his studio a little bit. How's it going, Caleb?
It's great. How you doing?
Yeah.
I never get
really
to talk to you.
Yeah,
I'm working on.
Oh, love it. Oh, that's really nice. Whoa, what's all that equipment? Does it got a reel-to-reel there?
Yeah, that's the stuff. The recording hardware.
That is the stuff.
And then there's a little stage up here, some instruments. I've just been setting this back office room up as like a listening area.
Love it. And you got a nice piano in there without a top on it? That's cool.
Yeah, this one, a little upright.
Yeah.
And then we have events in here, and here's our entry into the space.
I love it. We've talked about this space quite a bit over the phone. I think once or twice a year when we manage to check in with each other.
Yeah.
You've been keeping me up.
Not often.
Not often enough, that's for sure. You're an old friend, and I wish we were more in touch, but we're not in the same city, and that makes things difficult. So you're in Chicago.
I can't turn my screen around, Dave.
That looks good. What you're giving me right now looks good. If you want to just like set your camera on a tripod of some sort, it looks good. Can you sit? Just set it down with there you go. That's perfect. Yeah.
Just cannot see you right now, so I'll just sit here like this. Am I in the frame?
You're in the frame, and you can just scoot forward a little bit. You were good earlier, so maybe move the camera toward you. Hey, that's awesome. Look at us.
Yeah. I wish I could see you, but
I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at the table.
Yeah, I know.
Honestly, I don't have a lot of experience recording a live podcast on a phone, but take your time. This can all be edited out. Not a big deal. You look good. You look great, man. I love your red pants. Yeah, you can just scoot forward just a little bit. And I mean, I won't look at you that much, and then it will be fair because you can't see me, so then I won't be looking at you. And then it's apples to apples. Can I tell you a story?
Yeah. Yeah.
You should have said no, because we're like good friends. That would have been funny, but that's okay. So when I first started doing this, I was using Adobe Podcast, and it was literally just audio recording. So we didn't see each other. So this is kind of like hearkening back to that. But you can just kind of look at the camera, and I'll look at the camera too, and just pretend that's my face. All right. That was a cool opener. So I want to just backtrack a little bit and just introduce Caleb. We went to school together, went to college together, undergrad together, and I was studying theater. And Caleb, what were you majoring in?
Music. They called it, I think, commercial music or something. Yeah.
Okay. So you were doing commercial music, and I remember that you were learning trumpet, or you were like a performance trumpet player. And then there was something with the placement of your lips, and then it was like devastating to you because you were like, oh, my lip placement is wrong and my trumpet career is ruined. Is that close or not?
Yeah, you remember that. I mean, this is all from, we were teenagers.
Decades ago.
Yeah, I ended up playing trombone and euphonium and switching and then kind of moving on. And
Game Layer Radio is brought to you by the euphonium. Most commonly heard in the sentence, euphonium. What the hell is a euphonium? Is that like a tuba? I'm confused. The euphonium, Italian eufonio, Spanish bombardino, is a tenor and baritone-voiced valved brass instrument pitched 9 foot, B-flat, an octave below the B-flat trumpet or cornet,
and
employed chiefly in brass, military, and concert bands. The euphonium is a member of the large family of valved bugles, along with the tuba and the flugelhorn, characterized by a wide conical bore. That's like that big horn at the end. Most instruments have 4 valves, usually compensating piston valves, although the instrument with 4 or 5 rotary valves are common in Eastern and Central Europe. Although the instruments with 4 or 5 rotary valves are common in Eastern and Central Europe. You learned it here on Game Layer.
And playing more guitar anyway than either any of the wind instruments, and then piano now. But I really got into production or engineering and getting into the music community here in Chicago. That was you're right though. That was kind of like a nudge in a different direction there.
And then I remember you really got into guitar, and then you were also playing quite a bit of piano.
Yeah, that experience kind of forced me to just get out of my comfort zone and just play other instruments, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I remember something about you kind of learning to play guitar by ear, whereas you were like classically trained on trumpet. It seems like guitar was more like you were just feeling it out, and I might have invented that idea.
So it might have just been more that at the time that I was just picking it up for the first time. So I kind of filled in the gaps. But yeah, that was like the first time I was touching a guitar, actually.
Right, which was kind of fun because you had such an aptitude for music. I mean, you could play trumpet so well. You could pick things out on the piano really quick. So it was really neat to watch you just pick up guitar and just start playing it like you might walk on a different path through the woods. And I know I was super jealous of your ability to do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you mentioned that, but we were roommates in school. So
Right.
that's part of, I guess I was sitting in the dorm room playing guitar all day.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I heard a lot of guitar my freshman year of college.
Interesting.
Or maybe it was sophomore. Yeah.
I'm sorry for that if that was annoying.
It wasn't annoying. It was very nice. Like, I had then there's a jazz musician in the corner playing some smooth jazz. No problem. No harm. I want to move on to the next thing because this is it's almost like a triple-edged sword. I don't know how that could happen. Let me give you some background on this. So there's a guy named Bartle, and he put together a taxonomy of players, and he was looking at multi-user dungeons, which is a really specific type of game. And he observed people playing these games, and then he drew conclusions into a quadrant that you're either one of 4 types of players. And now flash forward to, I don't know, sometime in 80s or 90s. He's from Europe. He was in the United States, and he was at a game-enhanced learning or gamification conference, and he pleaded with them, please don't use my work for this because it doesn't apply. And this is a podcast on game-enhanced learning, and I'm still kind of using it, not because I want to apply it to game-enhanced learning, but because it's kind of a fun little game in the podcast to say, which side of the quadrant do you fall on? So what happened with you, Caleb, is I sent you the survey and you're like, yeah, no, I don't play any games. So I have no idea how to resonate with any of these questions. And I can read what you wrote. I have it up right here. I meant to tell you this over the phone, but we were kind of rushed. I don't play any games. Never have. And this taxonomy questionnaire doesn't really make sense in light of that. Do you still want me to interview? I'm not trying to be difficult. It's just that I don't play games, sent from Caleb's iPhone. So I guess what I'm doing is circling around to that and saying, so there's 4 types. There's the socializer, the explorer, the killer, and the achiever. So in the killer is just kind of like someone who's out for revenge or just someone who, wants to beat other people. But when you hear socializer, explorer, killer, or achiever, which of those words resonates the most with your personality? That's kind of where we're going with this.
Say those 4 again.
Socializer, explorer, achiever, or Kolmer the killer. Caleb the killer.
Yeah, probably socializer or
okay,
explorer. Definitely one of those two. But if you're doing this taxonomy, wouldn't people have an entirely different persona in a game than they would in their actual day-to-day life? Am I wrong to say to?
I don't think you're wrong to assume that at all. I think this is a place for exploring that. And I think the question really is, and the problem really is, that Bartle was exploring how people behave in this specific type of game where it's it's like pre-Wolfenstein. It's almost like kind of a Dungeons and Dragons game. I don't know them that well. I never played them, but the multi-user dungeons were kind of like almost a DOS-based game where multi-users could get together and role play. Right? So, the way you play that game is going to be different than the way you play piano or the way you play Mario Kart, right? So I think that's kind of his point is please don't use this research to apply to game-enhanced learning because it's such a small window into human behavior or personality.
Yeah, totally. And, I don't really know. I'm just kind of going with you on this, but for myself, I think I caught the interview with Ben Gardner, which is interesting because, he also, I remember him from school.
Exactly.
And so I was just like, well, I don't think we can extrapolate anything useful from my questions here as it relates to a game. But
well, I was wondering because I should have maybe sent you that and said, okay, look at these questions, but pretend like it's what's your persona while you're playing improv on stage? So if you're playing improv on stage, are you out to show off against someone else? Are you out to achieve the most rad solo? Or are you out to explore new depths of music? Or are you out to just play with the group as a social entity and make a new thing? Does that resonate at all? Like, are any of those words jumping out at you?
Yeah, and it's different. I've realized that I don't really like performing, but if we just change that to,
Okay.
if I'm playing music in a situation with friends or painting on my own, I'm personally, which is just, I just mentioned that because that's what I'm interested in the most currently. I'm definitely just there to explore. I'm definitely there to explore for sure.
I love that. Yeah, I'm actually pretty highly ranked as an explorer too. And I think maybe that's where we get along, because we're similar in that way. And I think for me, yeah, we can say that this taxonomy is limited, and, you know, we love quadrants. People love quadrants. So it's just a fun little game to introduce each other to each other and maybe introduce you to the listener.
Yeah, I could see how you would wind up in the exploring quadrant for sure. I mean, that's how I remember you. I think, you know, I can tell this little quick story, which is that I ended up being a recording engineer for 10 years here and just doing that, nothing else here in Chicago. It was kind of leaving the situation of living with you, and you were kind of into this idea of recording. And by that, I just mean at home on your computer in a time when it was kind of taxing for computers to do that. So it was kind of like new that computers could be pushed to do this. I remember, I mean, basically you would be making recordings of something like the washing machine or something. You remember that? I don't know if you happen to remember that. You do remember that?
I did that a lot. So yeah, I have very vivid memories of what you're talking about.
Yeah. But I mean, so I think you're kind of naturally out there just trying different things, especially when we were kids.
Sure.
But that gave me ideas, and then I ran with it. But I do think that you influenced me into just the notion of like, oh yeah, computers like can make a recording. Maybe I'll do this with musicians, or like mostly kind of creative or avant-garde musicians. But you were kind of doing that, some form of that. I kind of stole your idea, I think, is what I'm saying.
I don't think it was my original idea, but I do want to say thank you for your kind words. That was very nice. Yeah, there was a guy named Todd Dare who was a janitor at our school, and I think I learned more from that individual than probably
was he
most
like
of my
an audio
professors.
geek?
Yeah, he had gone out into the desert of all places. He was like in Vegas or Phoenix, and he got a whole degree in audio engineering. And he had a full setup in that little house that he had rehabbed off campus at Millikan University. And so the more I talked to him, I was more like, man, this guy knows how to record sound. So I would just hang out at his house. He helped me, mix down the second set of recordings that I had in his little loft, in his tiny little, probably 200 square foot house. He basically lived in a soundstage. But yeah, I mean, I think it wasn't my idea, and also my computer was terrible, so it would crash a lot. And
everyone's computer was terrible back then,
Well, we were poor, and it was a long time ago. I think my audio inputs were really bad too. Like my preamps were terrible, so all the audio is super lo-fi.
But I think, I mean, I was kind of exploring, but a little bit kind of bound up at the time. I'm actually more open-minded now. I think you are more intuitively open-minded, or maybe you were back then than I was. And so I don't think I saw at that moment, because I think I met Todd a few times, but I was just like, whatever, who's this guy?
He's different. He's a different person. He's a very unique personality is probably the
sure.
best
But then it's funny because like 3 years later, that's like all I was doing.
Right.
And like completely obsessed with it. And I kind of just, awesome. At the time I was a little bit, I was like, well, I'm doing this, anyway, that's kind of interesting.
It is. And I think, I want to add a layer onto that, if you don't mind, the notion of classical. I'm going back to kind of maybe the Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. If you've ever read that book, this idea of the romantic versus the classical. Or Lou Reed wrote a song about Andy Warhol called Trouble with the Classicists. And it's about this notion that, this is a BMW motorcycle. I can't fix this with a soda can. Well, actually, you can. You're just not willing to do it because you have a classic mindset. So with all that in mind, I was making all this really avant-garde music. And you're like, oh, Dave, are you making any more of that new genre of music that you invented called fucked up music? Right? Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
I'm making a new album under my new genre of fucked up music.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's some crickets, and then there's some recordings of some cicadas and some people talking on an audio tape I found, and then me playing piano for 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think so. If I'm an explorer, I was a little bit uptight at that point, and
you were
took me
classicist.
moving.
You were studying classical trumpet, right?
Yeah, and I had kind of like built like a technical basis on it, and that was my entry point. And then it took me moving here and realizing that there are just many, many people. And then it kind of clicked a lot. It clicked for me right away when I was living here. Mm-hmm. But I think you were kind of like existing in a more open-minded state right off the bat. That's my assessment.
Thanks. It's probably because I was into theater. It's probably nothing inherent with me. I mean, theater is out there, right? It's like, well, we have a little black room. Let's see if we can scare some people or open some minds, And for me, I mean, personally, if I can just extrapolate on that was a perfect entryway into education, right? Because it's the function of theater is to teach and to please, right? A lot of theater is meant to really help us improve our lives. Well, that's the theater I loved the most, was let's blow their minds and frighten them into change. And I think that's a big part of education. We make people a little bit uncomfortable, and then they fail in a relatively safe environment, and then they grow. And that's how it works. Yeah. So there's a through line here, I think. And that's why I really wanted to talk to you, because you're very involved in the arts. So from my understanding, you've been working in the arts since when? When have you not worked in the arts?
I probably work in the arts less than I ever have right now.
Interesting.
I'd say arts is a pretty, arts, but...
Right, of course. Well, I know that you have multiple interests. That's why I'm using such a generic term.
Yeah.
Open term.
But by about 2 or 3 years after the point we were in school, I was kind of starting to just... I taught some music lessons and was just building my recording studio. And then from there, I got to where I was just entirely living off of my studio and interacting with the musicians here.
I love that.
So for that period of time, which was like 10 years. And so, yeah, I think that's fair to say that I was, because I definitely was very specific that I wasn't really working with doing corporate jobs like audio gigs or something. I was like only working with artists, and almost always independent artists, like making their own music.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my background.
That's definitely a whole topic. Probably another third of the discussion we're going to have later is you enriching the lives of other artists. But before we get into that, I still want to focus on you. I want to talk about, so let's say at the height of your creativity, whether it's trumpet or guitar or piano or painting, think about when you were really engaged in art making. And then tell me a little bit more about your experience with play, or how... When you hear the word play, I don't mean like child's play per se. That's part of it. But that process of creation, or how do you create, or what is attractive to you around that whole concept? Why is it so great? Why do you love it?
It can be, one way to look at it, there are a lot of ways to look at it, but one way to look at it is, if you want to use the term play, you could talk about your ability to have ingenuity. And to be scrappy, and to be able to kind of get yourself out of a hole, and then compared to, and then balanced with some sort of foundational understanding of what you're dealing in. So the more of a foundational or technique, or you were just using, maybe you'd use the word like classically trained you are at something. Sometimes the more like classically trained you are at something, the less that you are forced to think your way out of these puzzles or riddles on the fly. And so I think if I'm looking at art of any sort, I think sometimes that's what I'm looking at. Is one of the first things I notice is like how much the art is relying on a technical basis, and a lot of that has to do with like repetition, if it's music or painting or whatever, and then how much of it is like a person's very much really out there, kind of without any harness or supports, and just really creating. And then a lot of times when a person is in that place, the art can kind of come across being a little sloppy or unhinged or crazy. And then maybe if it's coming from the opposite perspective of technique, sometimes it could come across being boring.
Yeah.
So I think when I shift around to like these different mediums, I think sometimes I'm trying to maybe experience that thing again where you really can't rely upon any previous situations, and you really have to, in some ways it's like a scarier experience to not have a lot of technique backing you up on something.
Sure. And you're speaking into my world a little bit, how learning is scary and it's hard. and learning is difficult, right? There's this fear of failure.
Like at the moment, if like a student is about to learn something, like actually learn something, like actually a concept that they've never experienced, there's gonna be a click or like an aha moment or something. Yeah, there might be, that might come in a moment of frustration or confusion. So yeah, I think that could be true, because if you're going to experience something that you haven't experienced before, then, which is what learning would be, then it would be uncomfortable, and most likely another person is maybe putting an idea forward that you haven't thought of, and that could sometimes be rubbing against your previous assessment of it or your previous understanding, and it might be challenging a previous understanding. And so it might actually make you might be reluctant to, update your awareness of something. Does that make sense?
It really does. Yeah, and that's right where I wanted to go with all this. And I love how it just sort of bubbled up that you do have experience as a teacher. And, you are totally qualified to be in this space because you're an educator. And you spent a lot of time, even during COVID, teaching people over Zoom how to play guitar, right? And I think we should highlight that,
I've done that here and there, but now I work at a high school and I'm around people who actually consider themselves as educators. And so that has been interesting and just another learning experience for me, just to be around people who are professional educators and then operating in that world where there are those expectations.
I think with that word professional you just said, could we maybe extrapolate something around the idea that those teachers are following the same classical mindset that you were talking about earlier, with knowing how to play trumpet too well or knowing the technique of painting too well? Do you think that carries over, where some of those educators are maybe up on a pedestal in their own mind, where
I know what you're
I'm
saying.
leading the witness, and I want you to respond honestly. I don't want you to agree with me. I want you to give me your honest response to that.
Well, there's something in there, because I actually don't. Some of my favorite, let's say, improvisers, the highest level of improvisers, let's say musical improvisers, right? They sometimes have the highest level of technique. They just happen to be they happen to have two things going on at once, and they can hold them together, which is that they have extremely high technique, but that technique doesn't bind them in any way. And then that's like the most incredible situation, So I think teachers all of these teachers who are professionals, whether they're like in universities or, kindergartens or whatever, it's like, they're on their own journeys as well, where they're like working with their previous experiences. And so, yeah, I think there's good and bad teachers everywhere. It would be the answer, and some teachers are just great, like super proficient at being educators, but then they're also totally able to meet students where they're at and be creative, but they have either tons of lived experience or PhDs. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, and I love how you kind of equate those, right? It's like I have tons of experience or I went to tons of school, and that can be similar, right? I love that.
So I'm not trying to say that I'm not trying to paint it out to be black and white or something, or like one or the other, I guess.
No, I love what you said, because you included both, and they both have their merit. And I think what I'd like to say is, you don't want to paint that black or white. I'd like to transition and ask, what's the difference for you between painting and audio recording or making music? How do those hit you differently? You've recently gotten really into visual art, and it's something you've almost never done before, from my knowing you.
Yeah.
What's that like? So, what's that like, entering that whole visual space, whereas you probably didn't do a lot of it before?
Yeah. So in the context of this conversation, it definitely was like a new thing. And that's not to say that doing what I do with recordings is boring. There's a lot of technique involved. And if I do work with people now, it's a lot of times it's people that I worked with, sometimes for 15 years. So there's like totally an expectation of like what we're going to come out with. And so contrary to that, I don't have expectations for myself as a painter. No one else has any expectations for me either. That's the main difference, I guess, at the moment.
How does that feel? Is there more freedom to that?
Yeah, I can definitely be more, because I would literally, right now, I would be in the process of defining what my technique even is. And that's a really fun place to be. And it's also informing how I want to play music, because then it's allowing me to think more broadly about, because I probably have the most technical ability when it comes, if I was like asked to produce a jazz recording or something, that is something I can fairly say that I know a lot about and can do a good job at. So like, since I just said the best place to be is like to have more technique than you need, and then also to be able to think outside of the situation. So that allows me to kind of be into that place, because sometimes I can re-examine my other pursuits and try to capture the freedom that I have maybe when I'm painting. Painting right now. Does that make sense?
It does. That makes complete sense. I really wanted to just thank you for being so open and so candid, sharing your art making process and how that relates to your music making process. And I want to move into another section of this discussion, something you hearkened to earlier about how you're helping young and aspiring, maybe even disenfranchised artists gain a foothold in the Chicagoland area. And we talked about this before on a specific phone call. I don't know where you were sitting. I was sitting on my deck. You were probably sitting in the same place you are right now. But you mentioned how you were writing grants for young and aspiring artists, and you were helping them, have a recording or create a project. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, that was one specific grant that I did get. There was one time when I got a grant. I actually collaborated with my partner at this space here.
Great.
And we wrote the grant to get. We basically made a recording for. So both of us are involved with the community of improvisers here.
Okay.
Musically. And so we know the people who are involved in that. And so we kind of were funded to, I think we ended up giving either 4 or 5 people recordings where we produced a recording for them and even made CDs if they wanted CDs. And then we also were putting on a series of shows where we would create a CD release for them, just a release of the recording if it wasn't on a CD. And the thing that brought these 4 or 5 people together was that we knew them and we believe in them, but also like they did not have recordings at that point. So it was that particular project. The parameters were that this would be their first recording. So it was giving them a boost where it's like, these were all people who were like, they really should have a recording as a front person. So like not just appearing on someone else's record, and they don't have one yet. And like, let's just be the reason, give them the reason that they need to do it. And they also don't have to pay any money. And then it gives them a boost because then they're not self-promoting themselves. Like we're out there and COVID actually, so interestingly, I'm now remembering this more, this must've been around 2019 or something, because we had a series.
Time. Yeah, it was. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Yeah, 100%. It was
COVID shut down our series because we had a monthly series running. We were going to this one, this month, this one, the next month, this one. And we had one show, which was awesome. And then at that point, like there were no music shows for like 2 years. But that is one project that I worked on. And that was a nice project.
So yeah, that's exactly what I was asking about. And I wanted to maybe ask, you had also suggested there were other projects similar to that. So what are other ways that you have helped young and aspiring artists, or other things that you have done? I kind of really asked a specific question up front. Could we get a little bit more broad on that?
Yeah, and I don't know that I'm helping. It's not like I'm going around helping people all the time.
Well, why not?
Well, I mean, like helping in the fact that, like, I mean, the first studio I had was definitely the whole point of it was to create a place where, I mean, I was living in the studio. So I made my own cost of living effectively so that I could actually work on the pay scale that a jazz musician could work at. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe I'm helping, but they were helping me too, because it was just a very mutual situation. But I was definitely putting my life in a place where I could, for a prolonged period of time, get on there, because, you know, it's a situation where no one's getting rich, even the musicians who are doing well. So, I mean, and I think I was making good sounding recordings too, but I'd say that was a mutual helping, possibly.
That was actually my next question, and you led right into it. What are the benefits for the artists and for your studio for this type of collaborational agreement? Where does that lead you? I mean, you've kind of already talked about it.
Well, I wanted to live a life like that where I was not beholden to the types of employment that I mean, I wanted to believe in what I was doing and to have like a nourishment is a word people use. At that point, I felt like I was occupying a productive place because it was assisting other people. They were also assisting me. My studio could make it to the next month, and the next year. And then I got to just work with all these musicians that I was learning from at the same time. So that's what I was getting out of it.
Could you speak a little bit on what nourishment means? Like you said, people use this word nourishment, but you just used it. What does it mean, and how do people use that word? Speak a little bit on what nourishment means? Like you said, people use this word nourishment, but you just used it. What does it mean, and how do people use that word?
Well, I mean, it means that there needs to be a reason for, we spend the most time in our lives working. We spend more time working than we would spend with our families. I mean, if you take the time we're working and sleeping, it's probably like 98% of our life. Maybe 90. So,
right.
It would be nice if everyone got to do work that they felt that made them feel like they were connected into the world in a meaningful way. I mean, if that was the case, there would be you wouldn't have a lot of the problems that you have with people. So a lot of people become. I mean, you mentioned being disenfranchised. I mean, that's the worst for a human, is if they're disenfranchised. So anyway, nourishing work might be work that gives you something beyond money, which you need. But I mean, people who are in the position of having to do work that isn't supplying something other than money, that can be very harmful for them as people. Does that make sense?
Definitely makes sense. Yeah, it's deep, and I like it. And I want to ask, that painting behind you, is that like a painting of a butt with like a rainbow coming out of it, or
no? Well,
okay.
it's sideways, so it could be more like an eyeball more than a butt, I'd say.
That's better. Yeah. I just kept thinking, is that black thing? Is that like a pair of underwear? But it's like the shadow behind the eyeball, or
no, it's a pair of underwear. It's definitely a pair of underwear.
Yeah. Well, both of my eyes are wearing underwear right now. I don't know if you can tell, but I don't get on any recordings if my eyes aren't wearing underwear.
Yeah. Well, I can't see the screen right now, so otherwise I'd see the underwear over your eyes.
Well, and I hope the listener is not watching the video version. They're listening on Apple Podcasts where you can't see it. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
All right. I love it. No, this is great. This is a good discussion. And I think we got into something really deep with that idea of something that's nourishing. And you hit something that's on a deeper level. And I really appreciate that layer here in the game layer. So asking just out of the blue, Caleb Willitz, what is your favorite animal?
Well, cats, and I say cats because that'll make me very popular with certain people. Some people love cats. And if you say cats, then they're like, wow, what a nice man.
Oh,
he
so
likes cats.
You're a socializer. You're just trying to make it good with the people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there another animal that you like equally well or more than cats? Or is it really what you like? Like, think about maybe spirit animal, or what animal are you similar to?
I don't have an offhand answer for this.
That's all right. And
I know this is a question
question. This is the money question, Caleb.
Spirit animal. My spirit animal. I honestly don't know. I don't understand. No, this is it. Sometimes I feel like I must be different from other people because some people really relate well to questions like these. And then I always get stumped. Like I don't understand what people are talking about almost. But I'll try to say that I'm living with a cat. I just moved in with a cat 2 months ago, but I don't feel like I have a lot in common. So I can tell you that I don't think my spirit animal is cats.
Have you brought the cat to meet your mother? You moved in with a cat. That's a huge step.
Yeah.
No, I'm just messing with you. Because it's difficult for me. I think that's why it's a good question, because it's super difficult. And I think what we start to do is overthink it. And we're like, well, yeah, I'm not like that.
Well, what is your spirit animal? What's yours? And then I'll maybe have an answer for mine.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm very playful and wild. I like to get into mischief. And also my Chinese zodiac is the monkey. So I think for me, I'm very monkey-like in the sense that I don't mind poking the bear. I don't mind kicking over the beehive. And it's kind of fun for me to go out and just like steal some fruit from someone's yard out of a tree because it doesn't hurt anyone. But the fact that I'm being mischievous is just, it fills my cup. Like, stole this blue blackberry from their bush. Does that fit for me at all, though? I mean, is that similar to my personality, or?
Yeah, and I can see that. And I can be playful too, but not in the way that you are. By no means. So maybe I'm like a mule or something, where I'm just there, and I'm like, but I'm always there. I'm very dependable. I'm not gonna disappear on you. I can probably even carry a load here and there if I need to for someone. You're
strong. You're very strong. I think you have a very healthy work. The mule. You have a healthy work ethic. I will say that. You just said that you spend 98% of your time working or sleeping, right? You literally said that.
Well, what I said is that people probably do.
Not
necessarily myself.
Not necessarily you, but I mean, you did. That's your perception, and I'm not pegging you on it. I'm just saying that was your perception of reality.
Yeah,
and you have a great work ethic, so I think it fits.
Yeah. If you count work like making a painting or something, so I would call that work, but maybe some people wouldn't.
Yeah, well, that's some delightful work in my worldview.
Yeah.
If I have a day that I can spend painting, then that was a good day. That's where I'm at. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that kind of goes back into your idea of nourishment, where if you're doing something like your work is painting, then is that work or is that play? And you're sort of melting the two together.
That could be right. That could be pretty selfish. So it's like,
Sure.
there's nothing wrong with doing work that's just work. Because society needs certain things done. So
right.
So now I'm kind of flipping it on myself. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's good.
I mean, you need to be like a useful member of society. I'm a mule. That's my spirit animal. Just here to carry this heavy thing because someone needs it carried.
Yeah. Get Behind the Mule. That's a Tom Waits song. Or maybe I could say, are you, Caleb, is your spirit animal a mule or a jackass?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about donkey too.
Donkey. Isn't that like half mule, half donkey?
Yeah. That's a good question.
I think I'm right, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
I'll have to think on that one for you, Dave.
Well, we can have a follow-up meeting someday. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think season 2 of Game Layer, we're going to get more into business, the business of art or the business of the world of games and play. So maybe we can have you back mid-season on that to kind of shed light on what is the feelings around running this studio as a business, right? We can talk about that later, though.
Yeah.
I want to quote you before we have the next question. It's still this email that you wrote me today, which I just love. You said, "I don't play any games, never have." So one of my ending questions is, what is your favorite game?
Yeah.
So there has to be one game that you've played ever.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's all sorts of of
course,
you could play card games with old people and just play cards. You could play chess. That's a fun game.
Yeah.
And my sister, I have a sister who is kind of a little bit more of a gamer. So if I'm with her, it means I'm probably on a vacation visiting her or something.
Right.
She lives in California, and then sometimes they'll be like, "Do you want to play this game where it's I'm going to explain the rules to you for an hour and 15 minutes, and then we're going to play the game for 3 hours." One of those.
Her name's Camilla, right? Am I close?
Katrina.
Her name's
Well, I have two sisters, actually. So Carmela is my other sister.
Yes, score. Yes. I feel like so much less of a jackass spirit animal right now. So it's Katrina.
That's a good memory. Yeah.
No, not really. Because, well, Katrina, I don't even remember. So you visit her in California, and it's that change of environment, and it's that lack of your studio space around you that then you say, oh, I can play some games. Am I close there, or?
Well, well, that's part of it. I have the time, of course.
You have the time. Sure.
But, and if someone wants a game, I mean, I'm not like, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
If that's the thing to do, if that's how we're going to socialize here.
Yeah.
But it's really about the social, like I just view that as like, we're just socializing. We're just kind of doing this thing. I mean, that's what a game would be to me, I guess. I mean, would you say that is for most people or no?
Yeah. I think it's
not really about the game. A
lot of people. Yeah. Right. Well, and I think that's why this works into game-enhanced learning, because what the methodology that I'm looking at does is we peel back this concept of playing a game, and you can reverse engineer it by observing people playing games, but then you can also just give them assessment of what motivates them. And there's a couple different profiles that you can use that will identify, I'm a high honor, or there's different quadrants, or even I'm going to say it wrong. There's one that has eight main principles or core principles of what motivates you. So yeah, I'm kind of struggling to connect it with what you were saying earlier.
But in this way, it's like if we're running a lab and we're going to bring in some subjects and we're going to tell them the task is this, but we're really looking at this other thing that's going to happen, but they don't know what that is. And
yes.
And we're going to see, we're actually testing the product or this experiment on this other behavior. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's it. I lost your visual, but it doesn't matter. I can still hear you, and you still can't see me. So I think it's all fair. All's fair. That ends in love.
Oh, I know why. Is it back?
Yeah, it's back.
Okay.
Did your camera fall asleep or your phone fall asleep?
It told me that there's 20% of my battery remaining. And so a window came up.
Those phones think they're so smart. Doesn't it know you're recording a podcast?
It's going to happen again at 10%.
That's okay. Well, let's wrap it up. We should make it, let's finish up before 10%, because I would hate for that to happen again. That'd be terrible. Great. So I think we kind of came full circle and really answered that when you're playing games, it's for social reasons, right? And I think
I'm sorry for lying to you. I'm sorry for lying to you in that email, because it turns out I have played a game before.
No, you're not a gamer though. And I think that's a common misconception, is that this show is about people who are hardcore gamers. And the last time I've played a video game, I don't even know. I'm not a gamer. That's not what this show is about. This show is more about what you were talking about having the nurturing or the enrichment of having something that, I'm making money, but I'm also filling my soul with life, right? I'm juicing up my soul, or juicing up my, I don't know, what would you call that?
Well, yeah, I mean, games are safe places for ways for people to come together and compete.
Sure.
And so it takes takes some of the worst instincts that humans have, and then it puts it into like a productive place where hopefully there's not like a, fist fight afterwards or something.
Yeah, it depends on the player.
Is that
right?
what we're? Yeah.
I mean, go to some sports games, right? Go to a soccer match or a football match out.
But I think about that all the time.
Sure.
Those are the only places where you can get 50,000 humans together in a tight space without there being some sort of altercation.
Sure. It
just kind of lets humans blow off this steam that they have.
Yeah.
That might be directed out towards something else with a negative outcome, and they kind of blow off the steam, and then they go on their way afterwards.
Yeah, 100%. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you wish I would have asked you? Somewhere you wish we would have gone that we didn't in this conversation?
No, but good work on your new podcast. And I know this is like a new enterprise for you, so you're kind of like learning this. I've listened to a couple of episodes, and it's been pretty cool to hear, because you talked to me about putting the music up front, and I was kind of thinking like, wow, this is a pretty big undertaking. So the fact that you're through a whole season you've actually produced 10 of these or 5 of these, I mean, that's kind of a big deal. So congratulations.
Thanks. This is number 12, and then I'm going to release number 13 for Halloween.
That's that's a lot. 13 episodes to produce. So, and then you're gonna take a break and have a season 2.
I am. I'm planning on taking a break. I don't know how long that's going to be, but I'm thinking, wouldn't it be nice to take a break along sort of the holidays, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas,
No, that makes perfect sense.
It kind of does. I have kids. So it's like, I want to just like maybe put pause on this. I'm definitely going to do a season 2. I think it's just a question of when that makes sense in my personal life. I know that consistency is important for this type of medium. You need to be producing. And so every other week has worked perfect, and I'm getting better. I have all of my stem files, if you know what I mean, kind of like recorded. So after this recording, I can just go in and edit this real quick. I have my opener and closer ready to go with visuals, and maybe do a few musical interludes, do some of my fucked up music that I wrote on this one so people can get an idea.
Did you? I meant that as a compliment. Did you take that as a compliment, or were you
I did.
like?
No, that's why I kind of
so
grabbed
fucked up
it.
about my music?
No, I didn't. No, because at that time I was so avant-garde. I was just so out in the weeds.
You really were.
Like,
you really were.
I was, right? I mean, I don't know how I came back and I don't know how I'm not dead, is what I normally tell people.
Yeah,
I landed on my feet.
How was it, like, your re-entry to planet Earth? How would you describe that? Was that dangerous?
Yeah. So what I did, you know what I did. I went to Illinois and I had a dead-end job at a giant castle that was actually a hotel. And it was terrifying because I realized I had no purpose. And then my neighbors brought me out to Thailand. I landed a job teaching in Thailand. So I think the flying around the world several times kind of just reoriented me in sort of this space on this planet. And then the severe 12-hour jet lag. And then scuba diving was a big part of it. And then also meeting a girl that I love named Nutriri Pija. And then coming back to the States and marrying her and, letting her have a middle name, which Thai people don't have. I think that was it. That's what sort of grounded me is, okay, let's do the thing. Let's buy a house in the suburbs. Maybe I should get a job to pay for that, So
yeah, your wife is great. the few times I've met
Thanks.
her, and then you have a beautiful family, and
Thanks.
it's
The
you
biggest thing is having kids. Like I settled down a little bit when I got married. Now, I mean, I've been faithful, but I mean, I'm still kind of like just making art all the time when I was married. But now that I have kids, it's like, man, I really need to worry about how they're going to turn out. So that was a very long,
you don't have to do that, but
saying,
I guess if you're like not a sociopath or something, that would be good.
I don't know. I'm out there, but I don't think I'm a sociopath. Yeah.
No. I mean, that's interesting. I mean,
well, I think to me, I always had so much passion and let's just be creative and let's be out there and let's have an original idea. And all that energy now is kind of poured into let's make sure my kids are psychologically in a safe place and that they have opportunities for growth. And so that's become my focus. So now everything I do has to sort of connect back to that goal.
Oh, they totally are. I mean, I can
sense.
tell from meeting them. I think you're a good father. So good.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll send you my Venmo later. You can send me $5 for that saying such a nice thing.
Hey, look, it's
What's
golden
that?
hour. It's golden hour at the studio. You see this light coming in here?
I love that.
It's like this for about 30 minutes every day around this time.
There's so many songs about the golden hour that are rushing into my head.
Look at this way. Look at this. The sunlight blasting the back wall.
Love it.
Anyway.
That's beautiful. Caleb Willitz, how can people reach out to you if they'd want to have you record a track for their podcast like you did for me?
Record it. Oh, right. The music.
No, thank you for doing that. The track is awesome. It's so raw. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to talk about how it felt recording that track? Do you even remember that? What it was like recording the track that I used for my podcast?
I was thinking because you mentioned that I told you I didn't remember, but like what I do remember is that because like
that's awesome.
Because I had a studio in the same building, but on the 7th floor. Now I'm in the 8th floor, and so what I remember is for that year we were in this other room, which was like 2 rooms connected by a door, and
you didn't like it as much as the space you're in now. I remember saying that you're coveting the space that you're in now because it's just bigger.
It was smaller.
Right.
But I was in that space, and like now when I hear that, I'm like, oh, that's because it sounds. I can tell the sound of the drums.
Wow,
is the sound of that room.
Wow.
So I think that when I hear recordings I've made, I can always, a lot of times I can remember the space where it was recorded.
I can relate to that.
Think of it that way.
I can definitely relate to that, especially when I'm talking about like a piano piece that I recorded somewhere. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Which is pretty different from another person listening. They wouldn't have those types of associations, obviously.
Well, especially when you're the art musician and you're also the audio engineer. I think that adds a whole nother layer to the whole thing, which I think we both kind of are.
Yep,
in our
that's
own
true.
ways. So how can people connect with you? Is it best to find you on social media, or how could someone reach out to you on a webpage if they wanted you to make some music for them or just have a chat or buy you a coffee?
I do have a website. There's an Instagram page, and I'm not sure how you put these together, but there would be an email I would see something on Instagram and I would see something coming into my email, which would be out there online, maybe on my website or something.
Okay. So Instagram and your webpage would probably be the best. I can include the webpage in the show notes, so you'll have access to that.
Yeah.
Great. Cool. This has been awesome. I really appreciate your time. We've spent over an hour now talking about art making, music, and even some deeper topics. And I just really appreciate your time.
Yep. You're an old friend, Dave. It's good. It's fun catching up. It's a fun conversation.
It was fun. I had a great time. And we'll do it again, all right?
All right. Sounds good.
Cheers, buddy.
All right.
Well, I'll see you when you see me, man. We should hang out sometime.
Yeah, we should. We always say that. I saw you at Chris Matea's wedding. Is that possible?
You did. Sea-Tops. Yeah, I was there.
Or
my children were really young then.
Have I seen you since then? Or no, once you came to Chicago, I think.
I don't know if it was after that, though.
Might have been before that.
We're so old we can't remember the last time we saw each other.
I mean, Vincent was probably 6. Is he 11? Is he 11 now?
He's 10 now. Yeah.
So
I think he was younger than that even. Because Jasmine wasn't even born, I think. Was she? Was Jasmine at Chris Matea's wedding? I don't think she was.
I think so, but might have been a newborn or something, or very young. Possibly.
So he would have been 5 or 6. You're right. Okay. Yeah, good memory. We're old, but we still remember some stuff. It's great, buddy. Well, I'll see you when you see me.
Yeah.
You take it easy, all right?
All right, sounds good.
Cheers.
Have a good one.
All right, psych, you thought we were done, and I said goodbye like 5 times. And then what happens with me on these recordings is as soon as we stop, I always think of like my brain shuffles through the whole thing, and I'm like, oh, you know what really would have been the best question to ask is this, right? And the question that flowed into my mind as soon as I hit pause or stop was, you know what's interesting, Caleb, is we did this whole interview, and you know me really well, but you couldn't see me during this interview. And that in itself was a limit to our creative process in creating this podcast. And I read a book once that talked about, I think it was called Art and Fear. And they talked about how artists will use limits to create a specific type of art. So say I'm playing music, you use a specific scale, right? Like I don't play a second or a sixth in this scale, or the sixth is a flat here because I'm in a mode or something. So does that resonate with you at all? Like setting a limit around an artistic process that's going to then give it a certain character, a certain flavor. Do you ever do that, do you think?
I think it's happening all the time.
Okay.
And then maybe sometimes people set it for themselves. I think I mailed you a copy of that book that I produced like a couple of years ago. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The one with the drawings, and it's work, and it has like a hand and a nail and a hammer, I think. Something like that. Laying like right around here. Yeah, sure.
But
I remember that.
So I made that thing. There were no limits to it, and I did not know I was making a book when I made all those drawings. But then after the fact, then I wrote a grant where I could get some money to produce the book. And so at that point, then I had to set the parameters. So it was basically the very generic thing that people talk about in terms of creativity. Like there's got to be like the unhinged thinking and explosive, limitless imagination, and just with no boundaries. And then at some point you have to come back and put the parameters around it. Yeah, I don't think if there are, I don't know that anyone could make any sense of it. If it could, I'm not sure that it could communicate. So I think it almost would have to have some parameter to some extent. I'm not sure if I'm talking about what you're talking about, or just said it because it's got to communicate to another person somehow.
Yeah. And you made me think of that same book. It's called Art and Fear, Observations on the Perils and Rewards of Art Making by David Bales and Ted Orland. I think I've read this book maybe several times. You made me think of how when you're making art, you have to invite the muse in, and the muse just does all this wild stuff, almost makes a mess. And then you say, okay, muse, thanks, you can leave now. And it's just a side of your personality. It's not like a different entity. And then the editor comes in and you're like, okay, let's see if we can make anything for print out of this mess. And that's kind of the art making process.
Yeah, or at least that was how that can be how it, I would say that's a pretty generic template for a lot of people's process.
Yeah. And now we've lost you again. I think your phone has hit the 10-minute battery mark. The perils of art making. It's perfect, right?
Yeah.
And it's like working within technology. And sometimes I wonder if that's a lot of the parameters that we have now is working within the parameters of tech. But can you think of a project that you worked on, like either a music project or a artistic project where you had specific parameters that you set that were almost...
Well, I'm on this 5-year project where I share this space. I mean, I have a partner here and we're in the process of creating new levels of organization to it. So the parameter is money, for instance, and time.
There you go.
I mean, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
At the very least, a person has that.
That's the biggest parameter there is, right? What's my capital? What resources do I have at my disposal for this process? Yeah, for sure.
That kind of sets the tone for everything that happens from there.
Interesting.
So I'm sure any project you look at you could find like multiple levels of parameters. I'm guessing.
Could we say multiple layers?
Sure, multiple layers. Yeah,
just messing with you. All right, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
It is a better word. Yeah.
Well, no, the show's called Game Layers. I'm just being really selfish.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. There's layers. There's levels. It's the same thing.
All right. My phone's only at 7%, man.
Well, that's the bell. I think I'm going to try and talk my wife into using a gift card to go eat some dinner at a restaurant because our children are sleeping at their friend's house. So anyway,
it's like a date.
It's almost like a date. Except we're married, but it's still kind of like a date. We'll just have to like pretend we're not married, and then it'll be like a date.
If you pretend you're not married,
yeah.
Well, good luck. See what I hope your wife goes along with your plan of pretending like you're not married and going out to eat with a gift card.
We'll just have to go take our rings off, and then I'll go to the server and be like, "Hey, guess what? we're not married. He'll wonder. Well, let's do a goodbye take two. Okay. I really appreciate your time, dude. We're definitely going to hang out soon. And you have a good one. Like your hat.
Yep.
Peace.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Cheers. Okay. So now you can see me, but I can only see your feet. And so that's awesome. Cool. Have a good day, dude. Cheers.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Game Layer. This is David Kolmer reminding you to stay present and never postpone joy. You can find transcripts of the show at gamelayer.fm. GAMELAYER.fm. Theme music by Caleb Willitz. Thanks for listening. Now go. Play.
I play chess.
I play Scrabble.
I play fauteuil. I play everything.
Hide and seek with my kids.
I play the piano.
I play board games.
I play guitar. I smash it on the pitch.
I play chess.
I play Othello.
I play all the Marios.
I play Success Strategist.
I play Street Fighter. Final Fantasy.
I play games of my own invention. Games of my own invention. Games of my own invention. Games of my own invention.
There are many ways to play. Going for a walk together, doing nothing together is also playing. Anything that can cultivate your feeling of joy, relaxation, where you feel more recharged after doing that thing, and I think you can consider as something that we play with. I'd like to move to the domain of play